Welcome back to Just Scribble for a share of the new Writech retractable fountain pen. So I have a few retractable fountain pens. I do have a Vanishing Point from Pilot. I do have a Platinum Curatus, and then I have a knockoff of the Vanishing Point. And although retractable fountain pens aren't my favorite pens, they aren't the ones that I gravitate towards the most. I do enjoy having them, especially at work, because they are great in meetings because it's really easy to just click the bottom, expose the nib, and write. So I was excited to see that Writech had come out with a inexpensive retractable fountain pen option, and I wanted to check it out and share it with you guys. So this does come in a few different colors. I decided to buy the light purple because purple is my favorite color. And it does come with your cartridges, as you can see here, and it is on Amazon. I do have it linked in my Amazon storefront in case you decide that you want to get one and try one out as well. This will be my first time using one of their fountain pens, and so I'm interested to see how I like it and what I think. Let's see, it does have a warning. Don't put your fingers on the nib cover to prevent stabbing. That's a nice warning. So let's take the warning sticker off real quick. So I was hopeful that this would use international standard short cartridges, but it does say on the back to use only with their cartridges. So I was a little disappointed in that just because it limits you a little bit on the cartridges that you can purchase, and you have to purchase from them. So if at some point they stop making these fountain pens and they stop making the cartridges, you won't be able to snag anymore. And since there's no converter, I would have preferred if this was an international standard so that way I had more options, but you still have options. You don't have to use their ink, and so we will talk about that. Let's see, on the back it says that it's a fine nib, only use their cartridges. It tells you not to put your finger over the nib cover to prevent being stabbed, and to install your cartridges vertically and not to rotate them. So basically not to twist them to install. So this is the pen. It has a pen clip and then the button there, and when you push the button, the nib cover opens up and the nib is exposed. That is a little bit of a different feature because none of my other pens have like a little cap that hangs off the side like that, but it doesn't look like it's going to get in the way of your writing. It does have a very small, thin nib, as you can see there. It is plastic, not metal. And then inside, it does have a little empty cartridge. I would expect that you could use this as a converter and you could fill this with your own ink. We're not going to test this on this video, but I will test it and see. So it came with that in there, and then this is where your cartridge sticks in. And then it comes with 5 cartridges with black ink. Now I was saying that you aren't limited to using their ink just because you have to buy their cartridges. Partly because you have this, and I think you could fill this, but also because you can actually refill these. So you could use up this ink and then refill it, or you can actually take this ink out. You can use a syringe to take out most of the ink, and then you can use a syringe to fill this with whatever ink that you have and that you want to use. So you don't have to use this ink or buy new cartridges every time. You can actually reuse them and repurpose them. So it does look like the little empty one that came with it is the same size as the regular ones, and it looks very similar, and I would expect that once we puncture this, they will work the same way and that you would be able to refill this. But we will find that out in the future. For right now, we're just going to do this. So the instructions for this are that you don't twist this to install it, you instead push it in. And so what it suggests doing is to put this, the cartridge, on your desk like that, and then putting the pen on top of it and pushing it down to seat it, and you hear a pop, and now it is attached. And then you just screw the back on, and now you have a pen that has ink in it. So we are going to write with this and see what we think. I do like the weight of this pen. It's not super light because it's plastic, but it's also not super heavy because it's plastic. So it really does have a nice weight to it. I kind of hoped that they had one in white, but they don't. They had black, pink, purple, and I think maybe a blue. I'll put that down in the description box, and like I said, they are linked in my Amazon storefront. But we're going to just do a pen test. This is my Pocket Daily from Paper Test that I'm using as my EDC right now. And so we're going to flip to the back and do a little bit of a pen test. This will probably be a very quick video because it's just unboxing and adding the cartridge. Writech. I just wanted to kind of test it out a little bit. I'm having a bad handwriting day, so please ignore that. Some days my handwriting is really good and some days it is not. And today, I think because I have a headache, it's not very good. But that is the writing sample. And then this is 52 GSM Sans and Tomoe River paper. Let me put my blotter paper down. And you can see no bleed through from the ink. Let's see how quickly it dries. So it's going to smear instantly, which is normal. Let's see if I use blotter paper over it. Then there's no smearing, as you can see. And then let's do a little bit of a timer. So we'll do 20 seconds. "20 seconds always seems so fast until you're waiting for ink to dry." All right, so no smearing after 20 seconds. Let's try 10. I'm a huge fan of blotter paper and I use it in all of my planners, and it makes a really big difference with fountain pens and gel pens. So I definitely suggest that. No smear, well, just a tiny smidge right there after 10 seconds. And then just for grins, let's see what happens with 5 seconds. So it takes more than 5 seconds. So this is 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 0 seconds, blotter paper. So it takes just about 10 seconds for the ink to dry, maybe 11, and then you wouldn't have any smearing whatsoever. Or you can use blotter paper like I do. When you write, just stick the paper and close your book and you're good to go. Or if you're writing and you know you're going to be moving your hand over it immediately, you can just lay it down and then lift it up and you won't have it smearing. So there's a little pen test with the times. And that's my little share. Like I said, retractable fountain pens aren't my favorite, partly because they never hold very much ink. And so I much prefer a pen that holds more ink, so that way I don't have to worry about how often I'm refilling it or carrying around extra cartridges and things like that. But they do have a place in my life because they are great for work and for meetings, because you don't have to worry about capping and uncapping. So they definitely have a place in my planning system. They just aren't my go-to fountain pen, even though I have some that are very expensive and then some that are less expensive. But that is the Writech retractable fountain pen. Overall, I think it's nice. It writes nicely, it writes smoothly. It didn't take any time for the ink to travel down the feed, and so you could write basically immediately upon installing the cartridge. I think you can fill this with ink, which I'll test out at a later date, and then obviously you can refill the cartridges as well. It does have the cap, so you should have less issues with the ink drying up, and your nib is not exposed, so you don't have any sort of issues with it getting messed up in your bag or if you drop it, things like that. But overall, I think it's a nice, inexpensive fountain pen and a fun addition for any fountain pen user or enthusiast, or for a fountain pen beginner. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to put them down below and I will definitely get back with you. Give me a thumbs up if you like this share of the Writech retractable fountain pen. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos, and don't forget to just scribble.